I used to kind of be puzzled by the guys that'd be like, yeah, we don't want it to go up that fast. And now I know exactly what they mean, right?
Yeah.
Finding those really good value opportunities is tough. And when the underlying commodity moves too quickly, you never get the underlying appreciation on the equity side, right? You just don't.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Any indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. Any references to performance of securities are thought to be materially accurate and actual performance may differ. As always, please remember investing involves risk and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional.
And we are back with another edition of the Daily Dots, and I'm joined as always by the brain trust himself, Mr. Chase Taylor. Dale, it's another one of those days. Why don't we just start with the markets, go from there?
Yep. So S&P closed up 0.5958. Q's 0.85. Small caps up 1.3. Equal weight up 0.5%. Mag 7 up 0.7. The rest of the world up 0.5%. Dollar flat. Oil, one of the big stories of the day, up over 5%. Gold up 1.7-ish, 1.8. Silver up almost 2. Platinum up another almost 3. Copper up almost 2. The 10-year yield up 5 basis points. Largely probably an oil story there, but finally back above 5. First time in a while. Right as I start licking my chops for a refi, of course. And vol was down about 2.3%.
All right. Well, there you go. Biggest news on the day would have to be, I would think, China and our discussions that are the trade war discussions.
Yeah, those will kick off tomorrow, which basically means tonight in the U.S. and Malaysia. And at least for the moment, it sounds like the Trump Xi meeting is on for next Thursday, I believe it is. So just the fact that got announced tells you things can't be going too terribly, it wouldn't seem. But the meetings with Bessent and Greer and their counterparts over the weekend will be instructive obviously for markets.
Yeah, no. It's no surprise, but just have to be amused at Tesla green on a day after those earnings. It's just,
I have nothing to add.
Yeah, no, it's just hilarious. People like their revenues are up, and I'm like, after being down horribly the year before, they're trading at 260 times earnings. The only thing I could see is, they seem wildly outlandish to me. But the caveat I'll always throw out there with Musk is I thought a lot of his projections for, Tesla's going to sell 1 million cars. Tesla's going to have the number one selling EV. I thought that was all smoke and mirrors. And I mean, he accomplished it, right? The problem is that I don't know how anybody builds that stuff into the price of the stock, because I don't think he's a con artist in the sense that I think everything he puts out there, I think he intends to do. But at the same time, I know for a fact, like when you look at the way he puts things out there, he clearly is doing things to manage the stock. I mean, I that's undeniable, right?
And I'll say it to be somewhat fair to him, even though we both know I don't like him. I think some of it is to motivate his people too. Like he likes to put really big goals up. Speaking of, I don't like him. So the Founders podcast, he's done some episodes on Elon, and they're just phenomenal. Like getting like the view of him as an entrepreneur, and instead of a stock promoter or something. Like you gain a lot of appreciation for the different things he's done and built, and the way he drives hard to reach goals. Like there's some really good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. I mean that part of it's impressive. I was reading through there, and the one bright spot you could say, now it's the issue you have with it is that, if you see a business segment of a company that's growing at 50% a year or whatever, that's impressive, and because it means that you're doing a lot of things right. Okay, The problem is that when you got a $1.5 trillion market cap, those numbers need to be really big. The stock still responds to news like this, like it's got a $50 billion market cap. You know what I mean? And you're just sitting there, I think everybody was really pumped up about the power supply business, growing. You're like, guys, that's like $2 billion. They go, well, it's going to be 18 billion. You're like, you know what? Give them credit for that right now.
It still couldn't matter less.
I mean,
if you know that, everyone knows that.
It's not even a drop in the bucket. And they're like robots. And I look at them and I go, semis. And they go, well, AI. And you go, Roadster, or FSD. We still don't have that.
Yeah. No, not to mention robo-taxis, barely a thing. So.
Well, they are for some companies, not Tesla.
Right.
So again, I like the guy more than you do on a principled basis, just because I am a free speech First Amendment maximalist, like truly to the nth degree. I'm married to a black woman, have mixed race kids, and I think people should be able to hang "No Blacks Allowed" signs in their windows, right? Now, I have nefarious reasons for wanting that? Yeah, just because, my wife actually brought it up. It was a great point one day. She was like, I wish people could still say "No Blacks Allowed." And I looked at her and go, what? And she goes, I don't want to go in there and give their money. I'd rather know they were a racist and not put any money in their hands.
It's a private property argument at the end of the day.
Yeah. I'm just saying I'm a free speech maximalist, even when it's highly offensive to me and my people. And anybody fighting back, I used to hate the guy. Anybody pushing back against the restriction of the Bill of Rights, they got a soft spot in my heart, man. Especially when they do it at their own cost, the way he did. I don't think he runs Twitter with that in mind, though. Well, it depends on. I don't think that anybody could argue that Twitter is a more free speech platform than it was prior to him buying it.
Oh, I think so. There's the stuff that gets amplified versus throttled. Like there's a clear agenda.
Hey, as long as they're not amplifying and throttling things at the request of the U.S. government, yeah, totally. I'm fine.
And to that point, and this is an important point that people miss. Not that I want to go down this rabbit hole instead of markets, but is free speech is about the government, not private.
100%.
So,
yes. Yeah.
That's something people mess up.
Oh yeah. And I got so irritated by that during the thing during that whole dust up and all that, because I'm sitting there going, look, man, I can't stand the idea that YouTube and these companies throttle speech that they determine, especially the way they do it. At the end of the day, though, you do that too much, a Truth Social pops up, meaning that's their prerogative. If they want to treat their clients bad and they don't want to honor their rights, then as a private company, unless it's discriminatory in nature, which that's kind of like, people have tried to make that argument too. It's discriminate. No, it's not discrimination, because they're not charging you for anything. You're not a part of an official club. This is their platform. It's not yours, right? And they can have their own rules of the road, right?
Right.
My issue all along was, when you start acting on directives of the government, that is 100% a violation of free speech. Just like,
especially if it's in secret and people don't know that it happened that way.
Right. Yeah.
Then it's extra nefarious.
Yeah. And that's not like, I don't want to get hyperbolic, but that's not a far cry from what you're seeing happen in the UK. Now, it seems like that's getting a little bit better.
I haven't followed it closely enough to know.
I haven't followed it closely enough to know too. The idea that somebody can get thrown in jail for a social media post, that's just scary to me. That's like 1984 stuff, man.
Outside of like legit, like
threatening someone's life
stuff, right?
Yeah. Saying you're going to kill the president, you're going to burn down the Capitol. But
right.
You've got to respond to things like that.
I will say there are some legitimate anything goes like social media platforms, and they are insane. Like they're wild, like horrific.
So here's the crazy thing to me. I think all these social media platforms are pretty wild. Like I look at X and I think it's pretty wild.
Oh, you have not seen anything.
Like I will read through X all the time. And I have this thought all the time where I'll see a post and go, I can't believe that somebody thought that. I can't believe somebody will put their name next to that statement. You know what I mean? And then if you're telling me
assuming it's a real person.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's a real person, and you'll watch them just crashing out on X, and it's kind of like, It's like watching a train wreck. You can't look away.
I can.
But well, I can. Yeah, I can too. I get. It didn't take me long. I think I got more busy and things like that, but I got social media weary.
Oh, it's just such a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
But it unless you go to the For You tab, you control you control more of what you see.
Yeah.
And if somebody's just saying stuff to get a reaction or whatever, like, I'm just not going to follow you.
Yeah. No, it's just rage bait, right?
Yeah. Whether I agree or disagree, if it's just nonsense, nope.
Yeah. No. It's
well, unless it's sports, I might tap in, but
yeah. We like, for instance, I posted this thing. John Fetterman was saying some really peaceful things, right? Not at all like bowing to the right by any stretch of imagination. Yeah. And I posted this thing, and I posted his comments and said, we need more voices like his.
He basically just said, let's use less vitriolic language.
Yeah.
At the end of the day is what he said.
Yeah. Let's tamp things down before it gets out of control. And you can make a lot of arguments that already is. And some of the responses I got, oh yeah, you some hoodie sweater senator, and you're sitting there going, hey guys, when we are watching people be assassinated for political reasons on live television, anybody, I don't care what they're wearing or where they're at on the political spectrum, if they are calling for temperance and conversation and they're decrying calls for violence, I'm a friend of theirs. Period. End of story. We may disagree, and we'll have those disagreements on election day, but I don't want him or his family to die. I don't want anybody that disagrees with me politically to die. I don't want anybody to die, honestly, right? I mean, there's some bad guys in the world that I might pick out, but certainly, but generally speaking, anybody that is sitting there saying, hey guys, temperance and understanding and talking is the way to go forward. I don't care what they're wearing. I don't care the political affiliation. I'm going to sit there and go, good word, man. That's 100% correct.
Yeah. I
thought you'd argue with me.
Oh, no.
I'm joking, man.
It's better when we can argue, but
yeah, no, it certainly.
Like, I'm not going to push back on using less vitriolic language. It's obviously a prerequisite in political speech these days that we should probably pay attention to.
Yeah. It's a weird place. I was watching this videotape the other day, and we'll get back to markets, but I was watching this video the other day of a white No Kings protester just cursing out a black guy with a MAGA hat on, telling him he's a disgrace to his race. And I'm sitting there listening to it and going, like, okay, hold on a second. So we're doing all of this whole diatribe that you just unleashed at this black man is all about tolerance and anti-racism. And you're anti-racist because you know how he should think politically. And if he doesn't think like you think he should think politically, then he's a bad black.
Very tolerant.
And you see look, I'm not sitting here trying to do a dunk on the left thing, because you see, craziness all over the spectrum. But I just sat there and I went, this is like, and a lot of people have said this, but truthfully, it's like a mind virus, man. Like it's this lack of temperance, this lack of understanding, and this lack of attacking people or attacking an idea based on what you think is right and not realizing that you've kind of come full circle and you're behaving exactly like what you're accusing somebody else of behaving like. You know what I mean? Like my grandfather used to say, the extreme of any position eventually becomes its opposite.
Right.
Right. And you're just sitting there looking at that guy going, buddy, you've gotten so anti-racist that you're racist. You're telling black people how they should think if they care about their race, and you're black and you're white. Right. Like, personally, I think we should care a lot less about race and care more about the content of people's character and what they do and what they say. But it's an odd time to be alive. You'd think that people would hear those things come out of their own mouth and go, oh, that sounded ridiculous.
Yeah, no, not when you have the echo chamber that most of us have found ourselves in, where you just get reinforced at every turn. Yeah.
Yeah. I know you have this, which is why we work well together. And we don't always agree. We come to different conclusions all the time. I've never understood that. And it's probably one of the reasons I was drawn to investing, but I've never understood the idea behind outsourcing your thinking to a tribe, to a group, to a movement, right? And
It's a very human thing to do, though, unfortunately.
It is, but it's also, I guess what I meant to say is this. Even when it came into, and it wasn't a pleasant experience per se. It wasn't nearly as painful for me as I've heard other people talk about it. But as I got older and started developing an appetite for, no, listen, I don't want to know the rhetoric. I know the rhetoric. What's the truth, right? Just give me the unvarnished facts, even if it doesn't suit my worldview. And what I need to start doing, I probably started doing this around 30 years old, maybe somewhere between 30 to 35. I wish I could say it was earlier. It wasn't. But where you started saying, listen, I don't care about what you think about it. I just want to know the truth. Just give me the basic facts. And if it doesn't fit my worldview, I'm going to start changing my worldview to fit the facts. Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I absolutely know what you're saying.
And I legitimately, when I say that, I do not say that from a position of saying that, well, that's the way that I work because I'm just more developed than you people are. I operate at a higher mental, because there's those guys, right? They go out there on these diatribe. Well, you got to seek out the truth. And you're sitting there going, dude, do you talk to yourself in the mirror? Because I can tell you love to hear yourself talk, right? But I mean, just that desire for truth, regardless of where it leads, right? I don't.
That's what life's about. That's
Agreed.
It's everything.
Agreed.
And I think in politics, it's not just politics, obviously, but it's just so clear in politics. I think any young person that cares about politics, you all have like your first political cycle where you probably pick a side at some point for whatever reasons. Maybe you're not 100% on board, but you're 70% on board. You learn all the talking points, you adopt most of them or whatever, the whole thing goes on. And then because this whole thing becomes like a bit of a cycle, eventually the other side, like takes the lead or whatever. And then your political tribe, or maybe you take power and then you start doing all the things you said were bad or whatever, like always happens, right? But you have this 180 that happens within your tribe and I feel like every person hits that line in the sand where it's like, all right, you have a decision to make. Either like all the stuff, the principles you claim to hold are real, or like this is just about like the color of the team or whatever, like, the banner. And the unfortunate reality is, I think 80-90% of people, instead of going, hold on, I'm here for the principle that we talked about this last cycle, not just the team, so I'm not crossing the line. That's like that moment of truth that I think most people face, and unfortunately the average person just crosses the line.
Mm-hmm.
They don't stand on the principle, they go with the team.
Yep. And
you see it at literally every cycle where the anti-war protesters stop caring about that because their guy wins, or you can come up with 1,000 examples of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's tons. One of the ones that just stunned me though, because I remember honestly thinking when Obama got elected, it was I wanted him to be somebody different than he was. I was suspicious of him because of his ties and backgrounds to some pretty hard left actors. Sure. Not a huge fan of McCain, but plugged my nose and voted for McCain. But when Obama won, I remember my wife and I sitting there, not thrilled about the election, but thrilled about the optics of it, right? Like sitting there going, look, we can all sit back as Americans and go, this is kind of cool, right? Like it's a full circle moment. Not that all badness was that's the other thing. It didn't get rid of all you're never going to get rid of all racism, dude. As long as there are people on the earth, there's going to be racism. There's going to be slavery. It's a horrible reality, but it is. But I remember thinking an ancillary benefit is we're going to get out of these wars.
Yeah.
Remember, because Bush lied, troops died.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
And it just melted away.
Yep.
And it happens every cycle with somebody's sacred cow all of a sudden doesn't matter anymore.
And that's why, you and I have had this conversation before. It's why we have to get back to a place politically in this country where each side is holding its own side accountable.
Right.
right? Because when we don't do that, you're simultaneously giving carte blanche to the people on your side to just pillage and steal and not be held accountable to anything, because you're going to vote for them because they're not Satan.
Right. That's why every time like one tribe overreaches and uses excess, you're just like, okay, well, like this, you realize this comes back on you like the next cycle, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And it's like immune suppression at the end of the day. Like if you can shut down your immune system, bad things happen. And that's that immune system is people holding themselves accountable. But more importantly than that is just how about have some principles and stand on those, not power, not what works today, not expediency, not, none of that stuff.
Yeah. It drives me bloody nuts.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. Any references to performance of securities are thought to be materially accurate, and actual performance may differ.
Anyway, moving on, pivoting back to markets. Saw a pop in oil today. Pretty big move upside to oil.
5% plus.
Pretty much all based off the rumors and the talk about officially putting a hammer down on Russian exports, right?
Yeah, it looks like their exports will be impacted, especially short term. Now, can they rewire the system to still sell that stuff to other people? That remains to be seen. Oil is usually pretty fungible. My guess is somebody buys most of it, but there's at least going to be a short term hiccup because India and China are going to buy less starting now. So it does mess with oil exports globally for a little bit, but there is a lot of oil already available. There's a lot of oil on the water already. There's a lot of oil. Like it's better than it was. It deserved to be up 5% because it's a change on the margin. But if they can say only lose 20% of those exports instead of 50 or something, then this kind of melts away over time probably. But yeah, it's not nothing. And oil being $50 kind of allowed for this pressure to be applied. I think, if you're India, maybe you can hold your nose for a few months and give the US what they want here, because it's still pretty cheap. And, if you're the US, you don't have to worry about 6% inflation inevitably, like right around the corner because of $100 oil. So like everyone can kind of deal with this for the moment.
You know what? And we've said this for a long time, but it really is. It really looks to me like it's got to be close to go time for something that just looks way too cheap. Nat gas.
Yeah, I mean, it's my two favorite things right now are aluminum and nat gas. So I cannot disagree at all. It has a lot going for it. Now, interestingly though, one of the things I was looking forward to have it going for it was really low oil prices messing with production in the Permian. Now, if oil is going to go back to $60-$70 and on this Russia stuff, that kind of hurts that case a little bit. But still, the power demand impulse, not just in the US, but kind of globally, the export, boom that's still in the middle of happening in the US. Like there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic for gas moving forward.
I saw an incredible stat and some incredible numbers the other day. That didn't shock me, but they were a little surprising given the last 5 years. When you look at US shale oil over its entirety, right? So we started doing it, that if you add it all up, it is like a net zero return for the clients, for everybody that produced it. Now, don't misread me. I'm talking to listeners here. There's obviously companies that have made tons of money doing it. Okay. There's also tons of companies that have gone bankrupt doing it.
Yeah,
so
the carnage in 2014 was a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, and because balance sheets aren't as levered now, it's not going to be as bad, but these guys are getting pinched. I mean, they're getting pinched. What is the average cost production barrel? It's got to be mid 50s.
But it's very, it depends on where you're at and who you are and what technology you're using. It just depends. But obviously, not too many people have ripped through their break even yet because no one's laid down a rig. So, and it just depends. The break evens go from probably 15 to 75 or something across most of our production. Just depends. But I'd say the sweet spot's somewhere in that 40 to 60 area.
Yeah. It's a wild, I was just thinking about this the other day. I still remember in the early 2000s, the talk of peak oil, like that's it. We found the majority of it. Now it's just downhill from here. And, we're swimming on oceans of that stuff.
Yes, but I will say, and it's similar to a lot of other commodities, like the new discoveries and the CapEx has been so muted for a while. And
we're creating a shortage on the other side.
Is when you look out 5-10 years, it's like, yeah, where are we getting all that at? But, there's a lot of oil we know about that we're not messing with yet. And even if it takes $150 oil to make some of it economical, is that really a big deal in the grand scheme, considering it was $100 when I was a kid?
Yeah,
probably not.
Yeah, I mean, you were 150 in 06, 07 anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
and in 2022. So
right. Did we get up where? How?
Yeah, we got it to about 150 in 22.
Just touched it briefly.
Yeah, and that's when everyone told us about $300 oil and it crashed.
Yeah. That is such the way that those commodity runs always work out. Right, you reach a level that everybody says is impossible, and the minute you reach it, then now the new target is 100 to 150% above that.
Right,
and then
actually we just saw it with gold, and everyone's talking about like $8,000, $10,000 gold, and like, oh, here we go.
Oh gosh, yeah. And that's why when I first started investing, I used to kind of be puzzled by the guys that'd be like, "Yeah, we don't want it to go up that fast," and now I know exactly what they mean, right? Yeah. Finding those really good value opportunities is tough. And when the underlying commodity moves too quickly, you never get the underlying appreciation on the equity side, right? You just don't. And part of the reason is when the commodities moving that fast, you don't need to play the producers to get the advantage.
Yeah, you get enough moths on the light, and the light doesn't really shine too much anymore.
Yeah. On any other commodities catch your eye? I mean, we obviously had a bounce back in the precious metals. I'm still not sold. I would still expect to see some downside in gold and silver from here. But
instead of highlighting a different specific commodity, I'll mention the fact that the commodity sector broadly is quietly making a move. Like, it looks like you've put in a bottom and a breakout on some of the big, like, all commodity indices and stuff that isn't getting a whole lot of fanfare. And I think a lot of it's, things like aluminum breaking out of the long range, some of the quieter industrial metals and stuff starting to sneakily make moves. You're getting nice moves out of things like lithium and nickel off of beaten up bases and stuff. So, which all makes sense given the fiscal and given how important energy is, how important technology is. Like, everyone basically has to increase their electricity production and efficiencies, and that stuff takes a lot of metal. So I think just the whole space is suddenly looking like it wants to move higher. Obviously, the caveats there are any sort of big dollar up move or global growth problem or U.S. recession, and next thing you know, like, that stuff's in a lot of pain. But for the moment, it looks really constructive. Speaking of something that it is worth mentioning that I've been kind of wargaming in my head is, if the IEEPA tariffs do get struck down by the Supreme Court, which I would call better than 50-50, but I don't know where to score it in there, and they have to pay that money back, it's a lot of money. And if you think about it, you have the budget deficit blows out because that doesn't count anymore, and then you have all these companies getting just a windfall check written to them. So, like, it's like a double stimulus in a way. That is something that to me, obviously, bond yields would not appreciate, and they would go up because all of a sudden the deficit's worse than we thought, and you have much more money back into the private sector. It's like a giant tax cut instantly. So that could be a thing where next thing, the 10-year yield's up 40 basis point in a week, and the dollar's up 3% in a week. That's the kind of thing that can make for just a risk-off move, maybe, and commodities, obviously, with the dollar, and overseas equities because of the dollar, but even U.S. markets because dollar and rates flying higher quickly that would not be welcome. So that's something to think about late this year and maybe into Q1 whenever the Supreme Court actually decides on that. That would be interesting. And I even had this thought because GM hit a new high and is doing really well. A lot of the auto equities are doing well, which is a little weird to me. Like there are some fundamental reasons kind of backing that, but I started thinking, I was like, what if it's because they're going to get like $1 billion check for all their tariff money back, and the market's starting to sniff it out a little bit? Just a thought.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, I look at GM right now, and that's a head scratcher to me, but it's not at all even close to the biggest head scratchers in this market, man. I just think you have a market where I just think you got a bunch of degenerate gamblers that are just trying to throw money at anything with absolutely zero rip about anything fundamental. Everything is a chart. It's up and to the right. I just think that it usually, and this is what I battle with in this market. And this is one of the tough things to fight with it. Usually if we saw a move like that, I think that that's probably exactly what it meant, that somebody knew something and they're going to get that money returned. Problem is you see moves like that all the time, big moves out of nowhere. And it's just,
but usually an AI or a meme or something, not GM.
Yeah. I mean, that you got a point there. The problem is
maybe the fundamentals justify it and I'm just wrong, but I have viewed GM as a bankruptcy candidate in the next decade, not a breakout candidate.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you see it any other way. And like you said, maybe you're wrong. Maybe you'll get proven wrong by changes they make or different directions. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll make some changes, but you're not wrong as far as, you're sitting back there, like looking at the trajectory of this plane, right? And based on that trajectory, that plane's headed to Tampa. Now, you know what I'm saying? But now, can that plane turn halfway through and reroute to DC? Sure. But when you're sitting there talking about a bankruptcy candidate, I just think you're looking at the current trajectory and looking at the board, right? Now, not discounting the idea that they can make some changes along the way that change that outlook.
Investment advice cannot be given without a client service agreement. Zach Abraham is an investment advisor representative of Trek Financial, an SEC registered investment advisor. Bulwark Capital Management is a marketing name only and does not carry a separate registration.